I quick trade recap for this day. Really nice trade today. Very small trade, but very clean as well. So let's just go over that right quick. So going into this day, I had like a pretty neutral bias somewhat, but basically going into market open, I was initially looking at longs, right? So going into market open, this was actually an SMT right here. So wait, let me just make sure that's the right low I'm looking at, and I'm not tweaking. Yes, this is what I was talking about. So going into market open, which is this right here, we had this bullish SMT here, and that initially gave me a little bit of a bullish bias, as you can see on the 1 hour. I guess 30 minutes better. We're kind of working out of this 30-minute for value gap, and I'm basically just wanting to see. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of anything right now, to be honest. The reason I say I was neutral biased is because I mean, look at this. Look at this price. Look at this range right here. We're stuck in a range. We're stuck between a 4 hour for value gap here, a bearish SMT up here. We've got generated buy side at the highs, generated sell side at the lows, and then this is all just chop. So going into this day, I was pretty hands off. I just was neutral bias, like I said, and I wanted to just see more price action. So at market open, because we had this bullish SMT here, this was data lows right here, and then market opens right about here. We immediately trade higher, and when we trade higher, neither asset takes out this low. Okay, so we're still generating sell side down here. Neither asset takes out the low, but I do see that we trade higher and open up a 5 minute for value gap here. So as you can see, this right here, this 5 minute gets opened up bullish, and now I'm looking to see if we want to go target these highs, like this high here from pre-market, and then this London high over here. And that's basically what I'm looking at here. So I was kind of thinking about taking this, but I just didn't take it. I just didn't really like this generated sell side down here. And like I said, the bigger time frame was still just kind of choppy. But I mean, the trade ended up playing out because this is the 5 minute fair value gap. This was not an inverse yet, so I'll just mark this out as a normal fair value gap. So 5 minute opens up here at market open. We rebalance to the 5 minute. It holds bullish, and then there was an inverse 30 second here that you maybe could have taken. I mean, it's genuinely tiny, but it's like this right here. And then I think there might have been a 2 minute as well, or it was a 3 minute actually. I think it was a 3 minute. Sheesh, I don't even remember, bro. But there was some sort of inverse for value gap somewhere in here. Okay, and it was the 15 second. I'm tweaking. So this is the 5 minute gap that gets formed at market open. We rebalance to the 5 minute. Remember, these lows over here were still intact, though, which is why I didn't like this trade, because notice we're just generating sell side here. But the 5 minute holds, we get strong displacement up, we get a 15 second inverse. You could have taken the long here, targeting this high right here. This thing's glitching, but you could have taken the long, targeting this high. You also have this internal high here, and you have this pre-market high. So this could have been your break-even point, and then we get the rebalance once the internal high gets taken, and then the market finishes the move. So that was not a bad trade, and I was looking at it initially. I just didn't end up taking it. But once this happens, I see that this bearish SMT gets put in, but then what really catches my eye here is all of the sell side liquidity, including data lows from pre-market. So I'm kind of leaning bearish at this point because, like I said, I really like this SMT, and I see all of this generated sell side. So basically, here, if I go to the 1 minute, you can see on this move higher, this is the high that NQ ends up taking out. So look at where the cursor is. NQ takes out this high. ES does not come anywhere near this high. So this right here is the bearish SMT. Now, once we see this bearish SMT, I want to see what the reaction is. I want to see, do we want to move lower from here? So I see the 5 minute fair value gap that I was initially looking at to take the long. This is the fair value gap that I'm looking to get ran if we're going to be bearish. So I mark this out, this fair value gap, and as you can see, the 5 minute candle here ends up closing below this fair value gap. So as you can see, this big O bearish candle closes through this bullish fair value gap, turning it into an inverse fair value gap. And now that this happens, once this move happens, I'm confident that we're going here. So I mark out sell side, which is this, and I'm confident that we're going to sell side. Now, you might be wondering, why am I shorting into a bullish SMT? Because remember, this right here had already been taken out by ES. Or no, sorry, this low over here, not this. So we had this bullish SMT at the low, right? Because ES had already taken this out, NQ hadn't. So you might be asking, why am I shorting when there's a bullish SMT? Because the SMT did its job. This SMT here, the whole purpose of this was to manipulate higher at market open to then get a move lower towards sell side, right? So the reason this SMT is here in the first place is so that the market can get this move here to then manipulate the high and sell off towards the drawn liquidity, which is sell side at this point. So I mean, and notice how like everything I'm talking about here is all based off of internal price action, because like on the bigger time frame, there's not really much here. Like I said, we've got generated buy side here, generated sell side here. We're working out of a 4 hour, but we're also working out of a bigger time frame bearish SMT. So I'm just pretty much focused purely on internal price action here. But like I said, this SMT's job was to take the high. Once the high gets taken, and then we get strong displacement, and the displacement runs through the 5 minute bullish fair value gap, inverting it, turning it to a bearish, I am now looking to see shorts. And notice what else we do. We open up a bearish 5 minute fair value gap. So as you can see, this here is a 5 minute fair value gap that opens up bearish. It's maybe might be easier to see without the drawings on, but as you can see, bearish fair value gap, inverse fair value gap here. We've got all of this sell side liquidity here, as well as these lows here. And this is what I'm looking at for a target. So once the 5 minute gets closed below, we get the rebalance. We also have this big 1 minute fair value gap here, but I am more focused on the 5 minute than the 1 minute. And I bet you we probably tap equilibrium to the tick, because that's kind of how the market works. Yep, literally to the tick. We tap equilibrium of this price leg. We rebalance to the inverse 5 minute. We rebalance to the bearish 5 minute fair value gap. And now what am I waiting to take an entry? An inverse fair value gap. So what's the biggest fair value gap on this manipulation price leg is the 1 minute. Because notice if we go to the 2 minute, there's no fair value gap. 3 minute, it's just a bunch of wicks, and obviously there's not going to be one on the 5 minute. So the highest time frame fair value gap on this rebalance here is the 1 minute that I have marked right here. So I'm waiting for this to get closed below to take my entry short. And as you can see, this candle here closes below, so I take my short here, stop is at the high, and I'm targeting the low. And if I bring up the executions, you can see this is where I enter the short, stop. I think I actually had it above the fair value gap. So I mean, it's like a 1-to-1, but you could have had it at this high, obviously, and been safe. And then we get this sell-off here towards sell side, and it's a very beautiful trade. We actually also ended up taking out this low here. And then, as you can see, we just get the rebalance afterwards, and Lord knows what happens after. But really nice trade. I just like this is not a big move. We're only catching 30 points. I mean, it's actually not a bad move at all. But the point is, you don't need to catch a massive move. You just need to catch a confident move. Like as soon as this 5 minute gets inversed, we have this bearish SMT, we've got this generated sell side, and then I see the rebalance to equilibrium of this price leg, the rebalance to the 5 minute bearish fair value gap, and then the result, like the reaction of the 5 minute bearish fair value gap and the reaction of equilibrium is this 1 minute bullish fair value gap getting ran to the downside. As soon as all of that happens, I'm so confident that we go to sell side. And like I said, even though this is an SMT, this SMT already did its job, so you can literally just erase this and delete it because you don't have to worry about it, because the point of that SMT was this right here, was this move that brings price higher to sweep out the high and put in the SMT. That was the whole purpose of this SMT. Now that that's happened, we can fade this bullish SMT and just look at this internal price action, which is very clean. And this is overall a very clean model. I kind of want to see what the market ends up doing. I mean, I would imagine we go higher here since we had this internal manipulation when we still got generated buy side. So I would imagine we see a move higher, but I want to just kind of see. So yeah, we eventually get a move higher. Do we sweep out? No, we don't quite take out the previous day's high, but we do take out previous. This looks like a New York PM session high from the previous day we end up taking out. But I mean, choppy price action, but when you break it down, like it's actually a very clean model. So yeah, good trade today.